Hi, Kayan here. I have the new set of Gansai Tambi granulating colors. This is the second set. I've reviewed the first set and played around with it on this channel. I'll have a link to that in the description. But this is set number 2. I enjoyed the first set so much that I was very excited when these came out, and I've actually had them for a while and just been hanging on to them until I had time to kind of play with them and check them out with you. So that's what I'm going to do today. I have this is a Life Noble notebook that I just glued. This is from a vintage record cover, and I just thought it was a fun illustration, so I glued that on here. But it's a Life Noble notebook inside, plain paper, and I'm going to use it because I did a lot of testing of the granulating set number 1 in here, and so I thought it'd be kind of fun to do use these on this facing page in kind of a similar way and kind of compare. So that's what I'm going to do with you today. This set comes with Cosmic Red, Cosmic Olive, Cosmic Green, Cosmic Blue, and Cosmic Violet. I think the first set was called Aurora, and these come with an extra pan, with the idea that you're going to use a lot of water with these. I found that I just used put a lot of water in the pans and used them that way. So that's what I'm going to do. I have my water here. This is the Cosmic Red. Pretty nice vivid color. I'm painting it on top of some splotches. So, and here it goes doing its thing. These work best, like I said, when you get them very wet. The colors kind of separate out. Very interesting. Cosmic Olive. I'll let these kind of bleed and blend together. I feel like perhaps these colors are a little more distinctly separate colors than the first set. It's here you see there's like multiple colors come into play. These seem like they're a little bit more like individual colors. Like these all have some similarities amongst them and are less distinctive from each other. While these and then here I think I'm going to try mixing So there's the cosmic green with the cosmic blue. Just gonna see how those mix and blend. And maybe I'll try the violet. With the red. I'm going to try them in my current sketchbook, which has very, this is not watercolor paper. And it's very smooth. You can see that my page has been prepped on the left by our granddaughter, who did her little drawing in there one day. Not much of my water sprayed over where the red swatch is, but here it's quite wet, and you can see how the watercolor behaves when it hits that wet patch. That's a quality that I love about watercolor in general, is going with the flow, going where the water is. So I'm just going to let everything just kind of blend and wash together here, because that is my favorite and most common use of watercolor. It's a very wet and rainy day today. It's chilly. I had to get out my big fuzzy jacket. It's a perfect day to just kind of hole up in the studio and do a little watercolor play in my sketchbooks. So I hope that you're getting to do something enjoyable like that where you're at. I have this sketchbook that has like cold press watercolor paper. It's not necessarily super high quality. I've used it a long time ago and kind of abandoned it. So these are like very old, kind of when I was first starting to sketchbook and things. And so I'm just going back and, you know, adding to one of the pages there, just kind of trying these out as a background to see what they do, blending a couple colors together. Now the real test is what happens if I use them on the face. I had done this watercolor face on here. This is nothing special, so I don't really care if I totally ruin it. It's just a place for me to kind of play around a little bit, see what happens with these as, you know, in a real life, I guess, situation, using them in an illustration and not just swatching. So I think these could be useful and interesting, adding to an illustration or using them in conjunction with other watercolors. So that, I think, is a success. then the next thing I'm going to pull out will be this. It's a Nostalgia, a Hennemule brand Nostalgia sketchbook. It is kind of, I guess, a hot press paper. It's very smooth, but pretty decent quality paper. And I'll try it in there. I kind of am getting the feeling that these are their kind of special effects, if you will, are most evident on smoother paper. So I've done another batch of swatching here, and I want to try them now in a way that I sometimes use watercolor to do some lettering. So I'm going to add that in here now and see how that works and how they blend together in these a little smaller, finer lines of lettering. Now I'm getting out the set number 1, the Aurora set of granulating watercolors. As I've mentioned, the way they push, the pigments kind of push around is similar. It's not granulation in the form that I like my Daniel Smith granulating or my Schminke granulating usually work. It's a little bit different effect. I'm back to the Life Noble notebook here, which this is just a smaller version of the one that I had earlier. And this little book is just one that I do all kinds of little experiments in, mixing watercolors together. Here I had mixed the Holbein Luminous with the Aurora set. So now I'm going to do a little playing around here with the new Cosmic set. There are some colors in common. For example, this is the Cosmic Red, and then there is also an Aurora Red. So you can see how quite different those are from each other. But I just want to play around and see what they do if I mix them together, how they behave together, what they maybe do. Do they granulate any different? Do they behave different? What kind of colors can I come up with? So I'm just kind of comparing, in this case, the reds. There's also a violet in both colors, or not both colors, but both sets. So this is the Cosmic Violet, and then I will add the Aurora Violet from set number 1. And then I'll blend the two of those together. And then I'll do the same thing with blue. So those are the 3 colors that are common to both sets. But as you can see, they're actually quite different from each other. Since this paper buckles a bit, it's really interesting to see the effects as it dries of how they the colors kind of pool and buckle there. Now I'm back to that large Life Noble notebook, and on this page I had used, to the right, I had used the Aurora set, the set number 1, and just kind of played with all the colors and just made a big mishmash on the page with them wet on a wet page and just wet colors and checked out how they blend together. And I think it's really quite beautiful how the effect of that. So I'm going to try the same thing but with the Cosmic set on the left side so we can kind of compare how they behave. I've zoomed in close for you so that you can hopefully see how these colors behave with the water, how they blend together, mix together and bleed across the page. And the granulation, at least what they're calling a granulation effect, kind of happens before your very eyes as you watch. Like if it's not evident at first when it goes on wet, but starts appearing more as the paint's dry. Sorry about the shine here of the wet page. I know that makes it kind of hard to see, but as this paint dries, we'll be able to tell a little better what it's done. I'm adding a little bit more paint in areas where the color kind of actually pushed away, not leaving much pigment, and I just want it to, have some pigment over the entire page. So I'm just going to go back in and touching up some of those areas. Really, the truth be told, just playing, and I think that's the best way to get to know a new art material is to just spend some time playing with it. You get a better idea what it'll do. I'm not very scientific in my approach. I just keep playing and pushing, and that's how some of the funnest discoveries and learning happen. So not really having a expectation in mind. So now I've turned to this page with the Aurora again on the right, the Aurora paint set number 1. And I just tried out some line work and just how watercolor pools and blends in line work I think is a really lovely effect. So I'm going to try that again with the Cosmic set with a variation of doing the months of the year. It's a time of year where our thoughts are turning, those of us that do planners and all of that, or our thoughts are turning to the next year's planners. So I kind of wanted some watercolor months, and so that's what I'm working on here. But it still gives the same idea of how lines behave as the more abstract doodle on the right. In the interest of time, I've used a blow dryer or a heat gun to dry most of these pages that I've been working on, or at least partly, because I am working very soupy, very wet, and just to speed up that dry time just a little bit so I can move on from one little project to the next. And I'm filling some of those little random leftover spaces with some stars here. Always handy to have some little watercolor stars. And then as I did with the letters, I'm just adding a second color, some little dots of second color in there while the paint is still wet so that it can kind of bleed and blend. And I did that with all the words as well so that you get some variation. Just lovely how these mix and blend together. I'm pulling out that Nostalgia sketchbook by Hannah Muley again, and it's smooth hot press type paper. And this time I'm going to add in these Holbein Luminous, and I have put these paints in a little eyeshadow box. They make very handy little to-go palettes, and this little palette is specifically my Holbein Luminous watercolor. There are more colors in this, but these are the ones that I have. And I had tried mixing these with I felt like great success with the Aurora line, the set number 1. So now I want to try them with the set number 2. So on this side I'm doing kind of the warm colors, the reds, the violets, and I'm using pink and violet from my Luminous line. The Cosmic colors kind of force the Luminous colors to also have some interesting effects, and so as they blend together, the Cosmic kind of takes over, but you see that those luminous highlights in there, and I think that makes for a very pretty page. So now I want to try the same idea but with some cool colors with the blues and greens. This olive green is really pretty. It's a very muted or leaning towards brown, I guess, green. I think it'll be very useful. It's a little bit hard to come by that color. And as it kind of separates out, it has some beautiful lavenders that show up in it also. And here I'm mixing the kind of neon, the luminous green from Holbein in with it. And I'll also use some of the yellow in with this too. So this is the green of the Cosmic. It's almost more of a teal green, and the olive is more of a brown green. So those are kind of interesting together. And then I'll also be adding some blue into this too. Unfortunately, I do not have blue in the Luminous, so I can't add that in. But you can kind of see what the yellow and the green do to this and really add some pops of color, neon. Are you a warm color palette person or a cool palette person? I never can decide because I like them both quite well. I probably lean a little bit more to the cool palette, but definitely would not want to have to exclude all these beautiful warm colors as well. So I find myself more and more, I think, the older I get, using more of those warm colors. You can see how beautiful these are once dry. Back to my watercolor sketchbook. Just want to do a little more playing in it on the different paper. I'm going to do another just all over kind of mishmash page. Love the looks of these. I'm going to see how they look on the watercolor paper versus the Life Noble notebook that I did the same thing in. Since this paper doesn't buckle like the other paper does, it gives a much different result. You don't get the pools of color like in the cheaper paper where it buckles. You do, this is more absorbent, and so the paint soaks in more. And I don't know that one is better than the other, but they are quite different looks. Now that I've dried it again with the heat gun, I'll hold it up here and see if I can give you a closer look of how it behaved. The final paper I'm going to try this on today is Tomoe River paper. I have this little notebook full of gridded Tomoe River paper. It's a little A6 size, and I do my color swatches in this. I've done fountain pen ink and paint pens and watercolors, all kinds of different things in here, just so that I can kind of have a record of what I have and what the colors are that I can refer to if I want to, or like, you know, if I want to buy something, I can check and see what colors I do and don't have. So I'm going to dedicate a page of this little swatch book to these Cosmic granulating set. So I'm just writing the words each in a different color without mixing them together, so that I can get a good sense of the colors that I have in this set. Okay, let's take a look here at what we've tested out. These are all the different sketchbooks, so several types of papers I've checked these out on. This is my little color swatches book, so I kind of keep track of what I have, and I've just dedicated a page to that. So all 5 of the colors that come in there I have, and that's on Tomoe River paper. This is on the Nostalgia book by Hannah Muley, and it's very smooth paper, which I believe really showcases the effects of this granulating set. I do really like how these turned out. These are with just letting them bleed, and this was when I added in the luminous whole paint by Holbein mixed with them, and you can see some of that kind of neon-y color coming through, yellows and greens over here, added to the blues and greens, and then I had the pinks and violet, which are really vivid in the luminous watercolors, added to the reds and the blues and violets of the Cosmic set. So really some very interesting effects there. Now I would end up using these as a background for something if I was going to go ahead with these. Maybe collage on top of, paint on top of. Sometimes I even will scan and print out to make collage paper. So lots of things that can be done with these. I do really like how, especially this one, really granulated and separated. I think that's lovely. We have just a watercolor book. I'm not sure, I've had this for a long time and don't quite remember. Handbook. But it's decent watercolor paper. I wouldn't say it's the best. It's kind of interesting to see how it acted on here, because you see the grain pattern of the watercolor paper showing through here. I don't know if you can see that. But you see some of this nice separation, granulation happening. I splattered water on there. Affects very nicely. All in all, I feel like this set for just common use is maybe a little better because the colors are more distinct. Like you have a red, you have a blue, and they're more distinct from each other than in the Aurora set. Here I tried it on top of some other watercolor, just to add some shading. Very primitive drawing there, but gives us the idea. And then this Life Noble notebook, I use this as a little experiment book with primarily watercolor, so it seemed like a good place to try out these. And on this one I just simply mixed there's 3 overlapping colors in the Cosmic and Aurora sets. So there's a Cosmic red, violet, and blue, and also an Aurora red, violet, and blue. The other 2 colors are different from each other. So I just was kind of comparing how these colors match. You can see there's less variation in the Aurora colors. Like this is not so drastically different from this, where the red and blue are quite distinct, and violet. So I just mix those 2 together to see what I come up with. And this is not on fancy paper, it is smooth paper though. And I love where the paper buckles, these patterns that you get, where the pooling happened while it was drying. So that's that one. This is my little current sketchbook that was $1 at the bin store. I painted on top of it, and It's not great watercolor paper, but it did get some interesting effects on here, I think. So again, I used it pretty wet. You get some really nice granulations happening here, and this was just using the 5 different colors in the Cosmic set. And then in this book, which is also a Life Noble notebook, it's the same as this one, only a larger size, and I just glued a different cover on it. But in this one, we did some real comparison with the set number 1, which was this Aurora set, and then this is this current set, the set number 2, which is the Cosmic set. And you can really see how the colors vary here. This is where I tried mixing the green and the blue together here, and the violet and red together. You see some really nice action happening here. It's just so active, I guess, is what I like. You like how it pools up, how it sees some of the color separating out is fun. This olive has some purple that separates out as it dries. I think that's kind of interesting. So they're very fun to play with. This red was really interesting in this swatch. And then I tried it just a page. So this is the Aurora colors, and this is the Cosmic colors, and just made a whole mishmash page on there. Again, you get lovely pooling. It seems like these colors are maybe a little more vivid, the Cosmic colors, where the Aurora gives a little bit of a softer look. I did go back and add extra paint in here, so take that into account also. But that kind of gives you an idea of the color range. And then on this page I had, this is the Aurora, and I had just played with like line work, I call it, and just getting some color variations mixed in there. And then for comparison here, I did my line work, I did months. This will be a sheet for my patrons over on Patreon, and so I'm kind of multitasking here, but it's similar idea. You can see, let me show you close. If you can kind of see, I think the September is really evident. Well, all of them are, just how those colors form and separate. So that was my test. I'm sure I'll be using them some more, and if I make more discoveries, I'll share them with you in the future. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.